Hi folks, my name is Amy.
And my name is Niamh, and we are two scientists that work together in the same lab in Dublin, Ireland.
And what's pretty cool about working in the same lab is that Niamh and I get to work together pretty much every single day, which is kind of interesting when you consider the fact that Niamh and I have kind of different interests. So I'm interested in animal brains and in animal behaviour.
And I'm interested in building microscopes that anyone can use. Even though brains and microscopes are two very different things, the fact that me and Amy have such different interests is actually really useful for our research, because it means that we can solve problems and answer questions in two very different ways.
And specifically in our lab, we want to answer questions about comb jellies, which are small marine invertebrates that we find in Irish coastal waters. And we want to understand how these animals work and why they do what they do.
So in order to understand them, there are a lot of different questions we're going to have to answer.
And to answer those questions, we use something called the scientific process.
So in this video series, we're going to talk you through the steps of the scientific process so that you can do your own experiments and answer your own questions at home.
Okay, so Niamh, before we get started, what is the scientific process?
So the scientific process is a series of steps that scientists take to ask and answer questions about the world around them.
Yeah, good description. And so the scientific process essentially is 5 steps, right?
Yeah.
So step 1 is finding a question that we want to know the answer to.
Step 2 then is to design an experiment to help you answer your question.
Step 3 is performing the experiment.
And then the 4th step is looking at your results and trying to make sense of them.
And step 5 is drawing a conclusion from your results.
And then we go all the way back to step number 1 and start the process again, and we ask a different question.
Okay, so Niamh, in that way, the scientific process is a bit more like a cycle, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this is kind of something that we all naturally do.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Humans are naturally curious about the world around us, but do you have a specific example in mind?
So, when you were younger, did you ever wonder if the light in the fridge stays on when you close the fridge door?
Yeah, I did.
So, what did you do to answer that question? Maybe as an experiment, you tried to close the fridge door very slowly to see if the light stays on.
And at a certain point, the light turns off.
Yeah, and that's the answer to your question.
Uh-huh. So Niamh, now that we know what the scientific process is, I think it's really important to say that it's not just something that can be used by scientists, but rather the scientific process is something that anybody can use.
Yeah, absolutely. So in this series, we're going to talk you through the entire scientific process from start to finish, and we're going to do an example experiment together to show you just how easy it is to take this process and apply it to your own questions.
And so in the next video, we're going to focus on step 1, asking a scientific question.
The scientific questions we work on all relate to life in the sea, but the scientific process can be useful to answer any questions you might have about the world around you. Have you got any questions you'd like to answer? Let us know in the comments below.